Okay, let's go ahead and end and recap the draft, man. Rod, man, meet your new Miami Dolphins, man. So the floor is yours, bro. First off, how did you feel about this draft? How do you feel about the Dolphins heading into next season? And what was your favorite pick out of the several guys that you drafted?
Well, let me say this, Herbie, because anyone who's been following us, especially for these past few months, I've been extremely critical of this regime. I have not, and I can't tell you how many times I have spoken against Chris Greer. I'm not a fan of Chris Greer. This draft still didn't make me a fan of Chris Greer. However, I do believe in being objective, and I do believe in giving people credit where credit is due, regardless of how I feel about them. I'm not a fan of Chris Greer, Herbie, but I am a fan of this draft. I thought that Chris Greer actually put together for once. We got a really solid draft, Herbie. We didn't have an opportunity because we just found topics that we thought were more important for the pod. I didn't really get into my second and third rounders, but Chris Greer picked a lot of players that I had my eyes on. We've spoken about Kenneth Grant before, and obviously I'll get to him a little later because we've already touched on him. But a guy that I'm really really happy about. And you know what? Before I get into it, let me just say, I mentioned before earlier that the Dolphins had a December, January draft. And I know that there were some fans who were kind of just like, damn, man, we keep drafting linemen. We needed it. If there's anything the Dolphins had holes everywhere, Herbie. And no matter what we did in this draft, there was no way that we were going to be able to cover every single hole. You know what I'm saying? Like it's impossible to do that. We put ourselves in too bad of a situation. However, when you look at what the Dolphins really needed to do in order to be a team that can compete at a higher level against better competition, we did what we needed to do. And I'll give Chris Greer this much credit. During the offseason, he spoke on the Dolphins addressing the trenches, addressing the offensive line, addressing the defensive line. He did that, Herbie. Um, Picture this. The projected Dolphins offensive starting line just going into next season. You have Patrick Paul, who is conceivably is gonna be taking over the spot that Teron Armstead had. You should probably slot in James Daniel there as a veteran guard. You have Aaron Brewer at center. You have Jonas Savania at the right guard in between Brewer and Austin Jackson. Herbie, that right there is already a recipe far better than fucking Liam Eichenberg and Robert Jones. Like that right there for me, like that right there, Herbie, our starting offensive line to me, our projected starting offensive line for me is already better. All right. So when you look at that, the way the Dolphins have addressed the trenches, we're going to need that if we're ever going to compete against the better teams in the NFL. With that being said, Herbie, let me just get into some of these draft picks, Herbie, because we're talking about meet the new Dolphins. So I think the first guy, obviously, that we got to get to is a guy that I didn't get a chance to really talk about. But I'll be honest with you, Herbie. Jonah Savania was a guy that when I was going through the pre-draft process, I was looking at guy. We would likely probably win defense in the first round. I thought we would get a corner or we get a D tackle, which we did. But looking at it now, man, you look at a guy who's the one thing I really love that the Dolphins did this draft. Not only did we draft linemen, we got guys who are nasty. We got guys who play with toughness. You know what I'm saying? And Jonas Savania was a really athletic blocker. You know what I'm saying? He has strong hands. He's someone who he's extremely reliable in pass protection. He's a guy who can sustain blocks against edge rushers. You can trust in him in the ground game. He plays with quality technique. He has great awareness. Can get to the second level. Anything that you really want in an offensive lineman, Herbie, Jonas Savania can give it to you. I'm super.
Hey,
I'm super.
hold on, Rod. Yeah, hey, Soul Planet, bro, you can get the fuck out. Like you could go ahead, bro. We ain't got time for whatever nonsense you going on, bro. All that troll shit. Get the fuck out of here, buddy. Get the fuck out of here. We don't want you a part of the community, bro. Kindly get the fuck out, bro. Sorry to cut you off, Rod. I'm just looking at this bullshit ass
Oh,
comments that this dude is leaving, bro.
oh, yeah, I
That
got
we
you. I'm sorry,
yeah,
man.
we don't we don't coincide with that nonsense. We don't want none of that bullshit that you keeping over here, bro. You can't say black people are fucking crazy when two black guys are talking on this platform, bro. So get the fuck out of here, bro. All right, sorry, Rod, bro. Sorry, I just had to intervene real quick, bro.
Nah, you Gucci, man. You Gucci, man. But look, man, when it comes to Jonas Savania, man, he was exactly the kind of guy that the Dolphins needed, Herbie. You know what I'm saying? We needed a violent blocker. We needed somebody who had quick recovery skills, especially like there were times on tape where I saw that maybe he got his hands out too early, but he was able to recover quickly against a rushing defender. I was super pleased with the pick. I wasn't crazy about what we gave up. I'm not mad that we gave up what we gave up to trade up to go get him, because there probably was a chance he might not have made it to us. We lost our third round picks, but ultimately, Herbie, especially the first two picks, when you look at Kenneth Grant, you look at Jonas Savania, these were great picks. And then, listen, we didn't have a third rounder, we didn't have a fourth rounder, which is something that I'm sure different fans are going to feel some type of way about that. Those are obviously picks we could have used, but I look at Jordan Phillips, Herbie, who was our very next pick after Jonah, who was a fifth round pick. I actually had like a fourth round grade on him. So the fourth round pick we didn't have, we got him in the fifth round. He's another guy. I have a whole bunch of notes on him here. An explosive, powerful player, a one technique nose tackle. He's heavy handed. He as of right now, he has his limitations as a pass rusher, but those are techniques and skills that he can work on. What I saw on him, especially when I was looking at tape of him when he was playing against Iowa, he has a really good first step explosiveness. He's powerful. He'll make an excellent bull rusher. Has a high motor. You know what I mean? And he was a guy that we got in the fifth round, and he's someone that I think can be a key rotational piece when the season starts. So with our first three picks, Herbie, I think we have guys that can contribute right away. And that's something that if you're a fan, even though we didn't have a third or a fourth round pick, we have three guys who I feel like who could contribute right away. And then you look at some of the later round picks. You look at Ollie Gordon, you look at Marshall, and when you get into the late rounds, Herbie, you're dealing with like project players. You're dealing with guys who you don't know exactly what you're going to get out of them. You know what I mean? But I really like the Ollie Gordon pick, Herbie, because the Dolphins, if there's any weakness that we have, if there's anything painful that we have that we just can never overcome, it's third and one and fourth and one, Herbie. The Dolphins on third and short and fourth and short have always been a just mind-bogglingly terrible team. Like, I don't understand what's so hard about us getting the freaking yard when we absolutely need to. And we lost Jeff Wilson this offseason. So I look at Ollie Gordon, who and he provides more than that, Herbie. He's not just a guy who can he's just a big guy. He also has good hands. He's someone that can actually catch in the passing game, so he'll make a very pivotal third round back. Good straight line speed. He has good vision. He's a guy that has decent contact balance. You can expect him to get yards after contact. So look, this is a guy that we got late I believe we got Ollie in the sixth round. But listen, man, I'm actually pleased with the Dolphins draft. Like when you consider what we needed, and we got a couple guys. Hold on, Jason Marshall Jr. Once you get to the fifth or sixth round, Herbie, you kind of just grasp. You kind of
Yeah,
just,
yeah, we ain't, yeah, man.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't even go that far. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not gonna go that
yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Oh,
We ain't gonna go that
I
down.
do want to bring up Quinn Ewers, who fell all the way to the seventh. He's probably someone that we could have picked up undrafted, right?
Yeah, for
But
sure.
but ultimately, Herbie, I think the Dolphins wanted to draft a guy who could sort of kind of be slotted into this offense when Tua goes down. And even though there were times like on film, I saw that his decision making at times could be questionable.
Yeah,
He is that kind of quarterback. He is a guy that you slot into a West Coast type system. Does the accuracy thing. He has a good arm. He can make all the throws.
he has a
Um,
great arm. You got to understand,
yeah,
Quinn Ewers was the number one overall recruit coming out
right.
when he came out, right?
Yeah,
So
like arm wise,
like
yeah.
he has a lot of pedigree. He has a lot of pedigree. So if you could harness Quinn Ewers, which I mean, I seen him. I seen him against Georgia. I seen him in big games. Yeah, he gets the bubble guts. He gets the lemon booty.
Oh,
But
that's the
if you
thing. The thing on film is that when you can get pressure on him, Herbie, he just falls apart. and
He
you see it.
falls apart.
Like, he falls completely apart.
But I mean, he's gonna have. It's a great place to develop if the coaching staff is there, bro. So I wanted to finish off the pod with this, man.